Hi everybody, welcome back to my little fragrance channel. I hope you've all had an absolutely amazing Christmas and awesome New Year. So I thought I'd start the year off with a fragrance review. I hope the lighting is okay for everybody. I've decided to film in front of my fish tank because I've not done that for quite some time, and I thought it'd be nice to have the backdrop. And also there are some links to a marine-ish vibe that we'll talk about today in this fragrance, so I thought it would be a nice backdrop for this fragrance as well. You have to excuse my weird voice if it sounds that way in the video. I've had a rotten head cold for what seems like 2 months now. It just seems to be going away and coming back, and I can't shift it, and now my cat's deciding, why does my cat always do this when I'm filming? Hang on. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about, as you can see, it's Renier and it's his Habana 500. This was the latest fragrance from the Renier Fragrance house, and this came out back in last year now, in November. And I bought this back in November, and I've been holding on to it, and I hadn't opened it or done anything with it until probably a week ago. This was a limited edition fragrance, and I bought this when it was like an early bird discount. It came out, it was officially launched. 1 second. Sorry about that. Back after another distraction, my cat came flying through the cat flap and took the cat flap with her. Somehow, that's never happened before. There's an almighty crash and she's come running through and the cat flap literally is around her. So Habana 500 has been created to mark the anniversary of the birthday of Habana, which I believe is 500 years old. So there's one bottle per year that it has been around, and the fragrance is a dedication to the experiences of Habana. The scent is said to be a journey through the streets of Habana. It opens with a marine experience with waves from the sea, with a bright and sunny taste of a Cuban mojito. As this passes, it relaxes into a Cuban coffee experience, and then further takes you on a journey in a 50s American car with a well-rounded leather and cedarwood dry down. The scent is said to bring you the joys and passion, positivity and dance of the city of Habana. So let's open this up and I'll tell you why I was intrigued by this fragrance. First of all, anything that is electric blue, royal blue, my favourite colour in the whole world, draws me in, and this bottle on the website looks absolutely beautiful. Obviously that isn't the only reason I purchased this, but it drew me in to want to know more about it. It comes in this beautiful box which opens like that, and it comes in its cushioned platform. There's the artwork, of course, that you'll always receive with the Renier perfumes. They're always inspired for the most part by one of his paintings, and this of course is a dedication to Habana. And my bottle is number 16 of 500. I also received a little postcard with my fragrance, which is always nice to have a personal touch, and it's just a handwritten note just to say thank you very much and we hope you enjoy the fragrance, which is well received. I always enjoy things like that. It's really filthy because my cat decided to walk over it with muddy paw prints, but it is what it is, I guess. It can occasionally look more green in some lights, but it is in fact a really beautiful royal blue colour. Looking like that. All the Renier bottles are the same design with a difference of colour. Yeah. So this fragrance has a real passion and creativity that is dedicated to the experiences of Habana in Cuba. I've got no experience of Habana, let alone Cuba, and I have no idea about what it's like to be there or anything about the culture. So what actually drew me in for this fragrance was just reading the notes alone. Just a quick short story. Just I don't want to bore everybody, but back in when I first started getting into fragrances, I think everyone probably has done this at some stage, imagined what their one fragrance might be if they were to create one. And my idea for my little hypothetical dream like fragrance would have been a very marine experience. And the notes that I kind of played around in my head would have been things like ambergris and rum and all these things. There's a lot of notes that I've played around in my head and thought, well, that'd be a really cool fragrance. When I read the notes on this fragrance, they were almost identical to all the things that I once played around with in my mind, and I just thought it was very unusual and decided that it was a sign that I should just have this fragrance, or there was something special about it. And unfortunately at the time they weren't supplying any samples, so I couldn't actually buy a sample. It was literally just a case of buying the bottle at a reduced rate before it was actually launched. So I kind of gambled it, and I took a bold move, and I decided to purchase the fragrance. You'd think I'd be excited to open it and get into it, but I was a real chicken. And I don't know, I just, for some reason, couldn't bring myself to open it. It was the anticipation of not knowing what it was going to be like. And I was a bit scared I just didn't want to be disappointed, and I was waiting for other people to open their boxes first online or Fragrantica and find out everybody else's thoughts. I have seen 2 reviews on this fragrance so far last year now, and both from a male perspective, and I decided that it's one of these fragrances, from what I've heard, that you just got to smell it. It's going to be different for different people. There's such a complexity that I felt I need to just get into this and try it for myself. So I finally plucked the courage to open the fragrance and smell it for the first time only a couple of weeks ago. So let's talk about the fragrance and the fragrance notes. So the top notes, we have C notes, apple and mint. Heart note is leather, coffee, milk, cedar and amber. And the base notes are musk, sandalwood and ambergris. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually spray this on my wrist and show you my first impressions. And I do mean show you. The juice in here is coloured. Let me see if I can get this. It's actually very coloured. And if you can see that on camera, oh, you can't, it's a shame. It's blue juice. Let me try that again. Hang on. Right, second spray, you can really see the juice here. It's very, very, very blue. Very blue. So obviously, with that in mind, you really need to be careful about what you're wearing when you spray this. Obviously nothing white. And you know, even if you're spraying it up high on your neck, you need to sort of dab it away. It doesn't stay blue. It does tend to dry down into a more of a clear colour, which is obviously fantastic. You don't want to have blue blotches all over your skin, because that would just look odd. Okay, so how does this smell? So as I said before, in the actual description, it starts off marine. It sort of transitions into coffee and that kind of vibe, and then you go into like this leathery, cedary thing. I'm going to say off the bat completely that I get the other way around. This opens up as a really warm, sweet tobacco. I get a lot of tobacco, not a nasty one, a really lovely one. In fact, it's a really sexy, beautiful, warming tobacco. It's kind of musky and earthy, but there's also, I think the sweetness is coming from the amber. It's a real lovely amber tobacco twist in the beginning. And I think as it dries down, it's still, I'm sniffing my wrist obviously now, and that's still the opening. But referring to my notes and how I've been wearing this dries down quite quickly into a much more creamy experience. So I think it's the milk and the sandalwood that start to really come up. So you still get the tobacco remains the whole way through the wear. That's for sure. But the tobacco sort of transitions. So as it dries down, you get a more creamy tobacco with the milk and the sandalwood, and that stays like that for quite some time. Further down in the dry down, you get kind of this slightly sharper fruitiness. It's a really beautiful transition. It really, really is. And because the tobacco is a really pleasant, sexy tobacco, I like that it stays there. I would say it was the most dominant main note throughout, but it transitions. Things happen to the tobacco throughout the experience. There's this kind of slightly fruity sharpness, which I guess is from the apple. And I think there's the cedar element in there too, like that kind of woody, musky cedar edge as well. There's further down, there's a bright lift underpinning everything. And that's where I think you start to get the marine. That's where that kind of, that salty, slight brightness starts to lift everything up. And that's obviously, I guess that's the marine notes and the ambergris. And that's the experience that I have with this fragrance. It's very unusual that it's sort of in reverse of what it's said to be. But it's a lovely experience. It kind of reminds me of like a cozy pipe tobacco. You know, that lovely piped tobacco that you get that can be slightly sweet and, has that lovely warming quality to it. I would say this fragrance almost starts out masculine and ends more feminine. Not completely feminine, it's very much a unisex fragrance. But it changes so much, but while still remaining with that beautiful tobacco all the way through. Another thing, that I really love about Renier Fragrances is the DNA that I do detect through every single one I've ever smelled. They're all completely different fragrances, they all have completely different notes. But like many houses, they all have this, you get this vibe that you know you're smelling a certain house. Well, Renier has this beautiful DNA, and it's always this sort of sexy, warm, deep earthiness. They all share the same thing, and there's something slightly primitive about this DNA, but it always leads to something exciting and eventful. This fragrance I think would be lovely worn autumn and probably spring, but more sort of colder months in spring, because it's quite heavy, it's very bold for probably a hotter month, although obviously you can wear this anytime you want. And actually, although it opens up bold, it does dry down softer, much softer, so you probably could wear it perhaps a summer evening. But I think this would really come alive in autumn and early spring. I would say this was a bright, bold, lively, sweet tobacco with a fruity leather nuance fragrance. It's very beautiful. It's a beautiful offering from Renier. It's an extrait parfum, by the way. I don't know if I actually made that very clear. So it is a lovely, long-lasting, deep fragrance. And I don't actually think there's samples available yet. I looked on the website this morning, and I can't see if they're actually selling the samples yet, but I could be wrong. So definitely check this. It's not the kind of fragrance that you can just dumb reach. You know, it's not like I don't know what to wear today, I'm just going to pick that one up. This is an occasion fragrance. You've got to be in the mood. This is one that you're going to say, you know, I fancy feeling this way today, and this is what's going to take you there. And I think that's the end of my review. I hope you've enjoyed hearing about Habana 500. If anyone's tried it, let me know what you think. And if you're looking forward to trying it, if it sounds good to you, let me know. And I hope you've enjoyed the video. I shall see you all again soon on my next one. Take care then. Bye.